Everyone will say we've all fallen short, we've all sinned. Yes, we've all sinned, but you don't have to stay there. Welcome back, everybody, to another video. Today I'm going to talk about overcoming sin, to completely remove it from your life, completely. That sin is like a disease, that it corrupts your walk with Christ. First thing I hear quite a bit is that sin is nothing but just an evil action. But it's a lot more than that, because there's always a source of where this sin comes from. And if you continue to let that thing in your day-to-day life, it'll start to consume you more and more and more, until you won't even see it as a sin anymore, but just see it as something you just like to do or would like to say or whatever it may be. The main thing people struggle with is how to control the sin, how to stop it. If you're trying to not sin, you're going to sin because it's going to be constantly on your mind about, I can't do this, I can't do that. The thing that I was telling somebody yesterday was that Christians are trying so hard to control themselves, that's only going to mess you up even more. What needs to happen is don't control yourself, but let go of yourself. When you let go of yourself, you give it to God, and God will take it away, rather than you having to try to counsel yourself and trying to better yourself on your own. It was supposed to be you and God together in unity, so that He takes away and gives you what you need in your life. James 1:14-15, but each person is tempted and when he is lured and enticed by his own desires. That is the beginning steps of sin. Is first you got to get enticed, you got to be tempted. That was step one. Then the desires, when it is conceived, gives birth to sin. And sin, when it's fully grown, brings forth death. What does it mean when it's fully grown? Meaning when it's fully consuming your life, when it's fully there and it's not even being pushed out of the way, it's not even being trying to do anything other than just taking it in. And it says, I'm going to read that beginning step, but each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desires. A lot of Christians blame Satan for a lot of these things. Yes, Satan is the source of sin, but it's also your own desires being tempted, and then you conceive and give birth to sin. So it's not Satan's fault. The origins of sin, yes, but it's us that makes the decisions to follow or listen to Satan or not. Do not present your members as sin as instruments of unrighteousness, but present yourself to God and as those who have been brought from death to life, and your members to God as instruments of righteousness. I've heard some Christians say that after they sin, that you can't judge me for what I just did. Now, I will say that, yeah, God will judge you at the end of time, sure. But I want you to understand what this means. As don't present yourself as unrighteousness. Don't present yourself in a way that will influence other people in a bad way. Because whatever you do on the outside is because of what it looks like on the inside. Because if your members, if you are walking in righteousness, then inside is righteousness. But present yourselves to God as those who have been brought to death to life. Present yourself as if you were changed completely in a 180, which if you were a Christian, you would have completely flipped your life around from death to life. And not only will you notice the difference, but other people around you will notice the difference between you before God and then after God. Because now what you do with your body glorifies Jesus in every aspect of your life. Because you could be doing something wrong and it could influence somebody else. Whether you believe it or not, we impact people all the time, especially Christians, because we're constantly talking about the gospel. We're constantly telling people about the love that we have inside of us. But if there's those Christians that also do other things, influence this way, bad things this, say bad things over here, and it just never ends, it's very contradicting to other people. And that's why the people that are of the world can tell a Christian, easily tell the difference between a real one and a fake one. All they see is a guy that is presenting himself a specific way. They can tell that he's genuine. They can tell that this guy is truly driven to love God, versus a person that, oh, this guy is Christian, but he's still kind of doing what he used to do back then. These atheists, these people can tell the difference between these two quite easily. And if this person, atheist, whoever it may be, finds God And there's these two types of Christians. Who was this atheist going to go to for help? They're probably going to go to this person because he presents himself in the best way possible. I want to live like that. Therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men because all sinned. Everyone will say we've all fallen short, we've all sinned. Yes, we've all sinned, but you don't have to stay there. Just because it says that we've all fallen down, okay, let's get back up. It's about getting up. I know we always say we fall, but it's about rising up again. In the scripture where it says where one man came and brought death to the world, and we've all sinned and fallen short. But then one man also came into this world to save us from that death, to give us life, so that we don't have to be stuck in the flesh anymore, but that we're not held by or limited by anything, to where you don't have to believe that sin will always be in your life, that you always have to just have depression because you're human, that you just always have to be stressed because that's just how life's going to be. You can stop, but it's the believing, it's the faith that you can do this when you really and truly believe that God can take your stress, your problems away completely. Don't try to remove sin on your own. Don't try to study and find different ways and counsel yourself and how to get rid of anger by reading or doing something on your own to just get rid of it. But if you do something on your own, it'll always just come back, or it'll just remove that single problem. But you also have all these other depression, this and that. But what if I told you that you can get rid of every single problem right now? You never have to sin again. You never have to have these negative things in your life. Work. I'm going to tell you something that God was telling me at work. He's like, I hear Christians say, I cuss, but that doesn't make me a bad Christian. I watch rated R movies with nudity, violence, and all this other stuff, but it doesn't make me a bad Christian. I do bad things, but it doesn't make me a bad Christian. I say, I am, I watch, I do all these things, but it doesn't make me a bad Christian. And then he said, when does it make you a bad Christian? How deep into sin do you need to be for you to realize that it's messing you up? It becomes denial. It becomes to where Christians justify the sin because they just don't know how to remove it, or they just don't want to remove it. But that's why I'm making this video, is so that you don't have to wonder how to remove this no more, but they just need to give it to God. You need to completely give it to Him and not trying to do something on your own. Or how Christians will also come up with another reason of, I'm not perfect, or I'm only human. You're not only human. Even Jesus talks about this, that you're not held down in the flesh no more. If you're not held down in the flesh, then you're not only human. You're living in the spirit, which is now you being a spiritual being and living off of the Spirit of God. So now that's your new characteristic. That's your new life. As a born-again Christian, no longer are you just a human being, but the human body is more of a shell of what is on the inside. And your body just mimics exactly what you give it on the inside. This is where lukewarm Christianity is at. This is where it's at, is because you get comfortable where you always have to you have to justify why sin is there. We read scripture telling us this about not living in the flesh, but then we leave the church and pretend like we never heard it. And I don't want y'all to live in sin where you have to believe that it'll always be there, but it doesn't. It doesn't always have to be there. If you don't like it in your life, you can get it out. I thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos just like this one. And please check out the Messenger Music channel, where that channel is growing even faster than this one. But thank you once again, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Messenger out.